What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the Pika Pika Papa, and it's that time of the month for us to do what I call the state of the hobby. And I started doing this because behind the scenes here on the channel, I have spreadsheets and spreadsheets and spreadsheets full of Pokemon data points going back 2 years. I'm talking about sealed products and chase cards and top 20 singles cards, and pretty much if you name it, I have an Excel sheet that I built out over the course of the last couple years about it. And it just got to be so much that I didn't have enough time to do content on it. So what I started doing, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 months ago, was kind of like this synopsis video where we're going to look through at a very high level a lot of what's been going on at the macro level of the hobby. We're going to look at Sword and Shield and how the top 20 singles cards and the booster boxes not only are moving right now, but how are they moving in comparison to other periods of price appreciation and price regression in the past. Like, this is all about pattern recognition. This is all about understanding how the markets are moving, and like, do we have the opportunity to pick up some great deals, because maybe we're on the cusp of things turning around, or maybe there's more dark times ahead. So lots of learnings to go when we go through the Sword and Shield. We're also going to talk about Sun and Moon, of course, again, another series where I have the top 20 singles cards and booster boxes going back for years. We're going to talk about XY, we're going to talk about prismatic evolutions, we're going to talk about the sets that are about to come out. Like, this is just a ton of fun in the whole of this video. And what I'm going to do is, I normally talk super fast. That's just the way I'm programmed. I don't do it on purpose. But for this video, I always try and slow it down just a little bit, because the amount of data that we're trying to digest, it's just immense. And I want to make sure everybody has a chance to understand it. And I think there's some really cool learnings. And I will also say, this is one of the videos where I specifically call out, listen, like, if you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, or if you don't give us a thumbs up all the time, like, a ton of work goes into this particular video. So if you can find it in the goodness of your heart, if you find value in the content, if you're having fun along the way, those two small things go a long way in helping me out, and I really appreciate it. So this very first page that we're looking at right here represents Sword and Shield, and how those top 20 singles cards from every set that has a booster box. So in the Sword and Shield era, there were 12 regular sets that had booster boxes. The top 20 cards from each of those 12 sets, so the aggregate value of 240 cards, and how it has moved since September of 2023. That's the top graph right there. And then I also have how the booster boxes have moved. And then I have these little segments that are kind of separated by the yellow bars, the green bars, and then the red to the right of that represents where we are right now. But what I want to call out is how things are functioning a little bit differently now. So if you look where this first purple box just showed on your screen, like, that shows when we first started tracking this, the top 20 singles cards over a period of about 5 months were slightly regressing. They were all red, like every single month, with the exception of December, where we saw a little uptick, probably a little seasonality there, people buying presents for Christmas, right? Except for the month of December, we saw the top 20 singles cards were coming down in value. And for the most part, you know, at least the booster boxes seem to be directionally flat. There were a couple months of, you know, price coming down, but overall it was up 5% in January and 2% in February, which essentially erased those earlier losses in November and December. So again, booster boxes were directionally flat while those top 20 singles cards were coming down. Now, if you look at the very next group right here, you'll see that in July, August, September, October of 2024, the singles cards again were going through a bit of a regression. If you remember, just prior to that, really right around March and April of 2024 is when a lot of these booster boxes that had been available on the Pokemon Center sold out. And I know if you're kind of new to this, you might think, oh my God, how are anything at all available on the Pokemon Center? But these Sword and Shield booster boxes, I'm talking Brilliant Stars and Lost Origin, I'm talking Battle Styles, I'm talking, heck, Vivid Voltage for a long time. Silver Tempest was in stock at the Pokemon Center for I don't know how long. Like, I just felt like it was never going to go out of stock, but a lot of these were in stock for a long time. When they started to sell out, we started to see these top 20 singles card prices and booster boxes really grow. But then on the tail end of that, it started to come back down. It started to normalize a bit. And again, what do you see here? You see that even though those top 20 singles cards were coming down significantly month over month, the booster box prices remain flat. We all know booster boxes is like the king of stability here. They do go down from time to time, but rarely do they go down very much, and even more rarely do they actually stay down. So again, booster boxes are staying flat, but the top 20 singles cards went through a big drop there. Now, what are we seeing right here? Well, again, we're seeing the same pattern, except the difference is this: those booster boxes have been going nuts. Now, finally, from June to July, we've seen the aggressive price spike in the booster box space here in the Sword and Shield era start to slow down a little bit. It was still up. It was only up 1.5% month over month. But if you look in June, those booster boxes, those 12 booster boxes were up 12% month over month. In May, they were up an eye-watering 20% month over month. So really strong gains in the Sword and Shield booster box space. Conversely, we saw the top 20 singles cards coming back down. And that is why I'm doing a ton of content this month on some Sword and Shield singles cards, because I'm going to do some comparisons to Sun and Moon, and I know they're different generations. It's not going to be a one-for-one comparison, but I do think in the long run, Sword and Shield is going to be a fantastic generation. The cards are awesome. The artwork is amazing. Like, there's just so many cool things between the alt arts and the trainer galleries, and there's just a lot to love about this set. So when I see the singles cards coming down like this, but the booster boxes spiking up like that, it just makes me feel like in the long run, we're going to see those singles cards come back, and we're going to have some really awesome buying opportunities right now, and at least for the foreseeable future. Now, I'm going to walk you through something here on the Sun and Moon space that might tell you we don't know how long it's going to be like this. These Sword and Shield cards could be down for a prolonged period of time, but at some point they will make the turn. Now, what I'm referencing here is a phenomenon that I've actually talked about in several other videos over the last couple months, and that's if you look at when we started graphing these top 20 singles cards in the Sun and Moon space in September of 2023, same thing. Every set that is a booster box, so 12 sets, the top 20 singles cards from each of those 12 sets, the aggregate value in September 2023 was $12,604. Now, fast forward to January of 2025, fast forward 17 months later, and the same value of those top 20 singles cards was $12,681. It was directionally flat. You can see that there was some regression there for the first few months, all the way up into the beginning of 2024, or excuse me, yeah, 2024. And then you see for most of 2024, you had small gains month over month. But overall, in that 17-month period, the prices were absolutely flat. Now, when you see what has happened from January 2025 until now, you can see that the prices have really started to explode. So you had a fantastic buying opportunity while Sun and Moon was just chilling from September 2023 all the way to January 2025. But now people have fallen back in love with those tag team cards. People are piling in left and right. And those top 20 singles cards from January until now are actually up 56.5% versus Sword and Shield, which we had just talked about. Yes, there was a little bit of a gain in January and February, so Sword and Shield is still up 8% over this period of time. But even look at XY, which we'll look at next. The XY generation, those top 20 singles cards from January till now, is up 75.3%. So as you can see, Sun and Moon and XY era crushed it in 2025, and Sword and Shield has really been lagging behind. So that's why I get so excited about it. Now, one of the things that I wanted to show here is these are the graphs. So obviously I have the numbers in Excel, and then I always do a graph because I think a graph does a great representation of taking those numbers and those plots and really making it so we can digest it. And I thought there was a couple cool things for us to talk about here. First and foremost, this is what I was referring to earlier. So this represents those 17 months where the top 20 singles cards were directionally flat. And so what I wanted to highlight is, even though the price started and ended the same at those 17-month period, there's a bowl there, right? Like the prices came down for a while, and then they started to work their way up, and then they finally ended where they had begun. But that doesn't mean that it was directionally flat the entire time. There was prices coming down and prices coming up. And the other thing that I thought was cool is, look at those booster boxes. So yeah, the booster boxes were relatively flat all the way through March of 2024. But from March of 2024 on, those booster boxes have been going absolutely insane in terms of prices, especially into 2025. So when we look about it and we see what happened here, is that really from May of 2024 on forward, both the singles cards and the booster boxes have been taking off like crazy. And that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this point in the Sword and Shield era, and you can see it went from September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May. I mean, we're talking about 9 months in a row where those top 20 singles cards were working their way down before they really started to take off again. I still think Sword and Shield is too new, and I think Sword and Shield is too popular to see 9 consecutive months of price regression. If you notice those purple boxes that I had on the first Sword and Shield page, they were in groups of 4 or 5. It seems like, at least for now, we have price regression for 4 or 5 months, and then we have growth for 4 or 5 months, and then regression for 4 or 5 months. Those are the last 3 patterns. Doesn't mean it's going to hold, doesn't mean we're going to see that again, but I would not be surprised if we see it at least start to flatten out here a little bit in the future. So again, great lessons from Sun and Moon, which I think we can apply to Sword and Shield moving forward. Now, the next thing that we're going to talk about is the XY era, because the XY era has absolutely been going nuts here as of late. So look back in October of 2023, because I started graphing XY later than Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield, but the total value of those cards in October of 2023, and again, we're still talking about 240 cards. We're still talking about the top 20 singles cards from every set that had a booster box in the XY era. We're talking Flashfire, we're talking Phantom Forces, right? We're talking Ancient Origins, we're talking Roaring Skies, we're talking XY Evolutions. big sets, like awesome sets with awesome cards, yet with all of that awesomeness, the combined value was only $4,417. And when you compare that to where Sun and Moon was at the time, Sun and Moon at the same time, those same 240 cards in that era were at $12,496, and even Sword and Shield was at $6,282. The net is XY was just overlooked for a long time. And then of course we had the release of these new Mega Series that's going to be coming out, bringing back the Mega Evolution Pokemon, which originated in the XY era. And since then, things have gone absolutely nuts. I mean, January all the way through July, we have just seen incredible price growth. And when you look at how much these top 20 singles cards have gained from October 2023 till now, they're up 131%. And then you look at Sun and Moon, again, most of the growth in Sun and Moon has happened in the beginning of this year. It's up 57.5%. And Sword and Shield in and of itself has done pretty good, coming in at 79.7%. But again, when I'm talking about opportunities in the hobby, when I'm talking about identifying things that are overlooked, man, I used to do all kinds of content on XY back in the early months of 2024. Nobody watched it, nobody cared. People would always comment that like these cards suck, nobody likes them, like the artwork is bogus, like yada yada yada. And honestly, I quit doing content on it because nobody watched it, which makes sense. I only want to produce stuff that you all find value in. But my gosh, if we had just understood what was going on back then, nobody has a crystal ball, nobody knew they were bringing Mega Evolutions back. But man, it's been incredible to watch a lot of these cards pop off in price. So the next thing we're going to talk about is Scarlet and Violet. And Scarlet and Violet needed a very healthy price regression, which we have thankfully seen here as of late. I don't know if you remember what was going on, but man, we saw some ridiculous illustration rare card prices. I mean, Pokemon that had no business being in the $50, $60, $70 range. Like, even if you love that Pokemon and you're an avid collector of it, like, you were used to picking up cards like that in the 10, 15, you certainly sub $20 range, and all of a sudden you're having to pay $60 for it. It just didn't make a lot of sense. And rightfully so, we've seen the price come back down. But what I thought is interesting is Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield have kind of been moving in lockstep. Now, Scarlet and Violet has been giving back prices more aggressively because it's newer, and I think it was a little bit more overvalued compared to Sword and Shield, which was more tenured at the time. But still, the prices seem to be moving the same. Now, as I said, in Sword and Shield, in XY, and Sun and Moon, I aggregate the top 20 singles cards of every set that has a booster box. In the Scarlet and Violet era, I include all of them. So I include specialty sets and everything. So that graph right there represents the aggregate of the top 20 singles cards of every set in the Scarlet and Violet era, from Scarlet and Violet base all the way through Prismatic Evolutions. As Destined Rivals starts to age, as Black Bolt and White Flare starts to age, we'll be able to add those in, but we're probably about 6 months out from having a whole view of Scarlet and Violet. But I'm very excited. Right now, at least all the way through Prismatic, that is a very good indication of just how the broader market is moving as a whole. So we've talked about the legacy generations. Now we have to talk about the Mega Series, which is upon us, which I think has it's going to be insane. I don't even know what to say. So even the Mega Evolution set, which is going to be the very first one in the series, I didn't want to like it. I got to be honest with you. I didn't want to, because I knew early on, I heard about Inferno X. I knew we were going to have a Mega Charizard. Like, I desperately wanted to do that. There was leaks about the Mega Gengar deck over in Japan, so I knew a Mega Gengar was going to be included in the Mega Evolution set. I didn't want to like it. But then the special illustration came out, and God, I love all of them. I really, honest to God, I love all of them. And I could see how the artwork might not be for everybody. It's a little more cartoonish, but that Gardevoir, I'm not even a Gardevoir fan, and that card is absolutely banging. I have to have that in a PSA 10 holder. I think it is absolutely fire. I love the Mega Lucario. I love how he's battling with Venusaur right there. Like, I love the red and the blue around the fist. Like, oh, I love these cards so much. And darn you, Pokemon Company International, for making the first set so fire, because I'm going to have to pick up more of this than I originally wanted, so I'm going to have to find a way to come up with some more funds. Now, what I'm interested in, and if you've made it this deep into the video, first off, thank you. Second off, I would love to hear your opinion on this, but we just got the very first view of the new rarity. This is a gold rarity, and these aren't your traditional gold cards, right? Like, this is all full-on, straight-up gold, and I'm not sure how I feel about this. Everybody is sharing these images, so whoever Mr. Blue Thumb is, that is the most famous Blue Thumb on the internet right now. But I'll be interested to see what the hobby as a whole thinks. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think about these cards. Again, I'll have to see it in person before I make a final determination, but I think it's a very interesting look here. I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50 on it until I see it in person, but it's new. It's a new rarity, and I do like, even if everybody hates it, I do like at least that Pokemon Company is trying something new. I think that's a good sign. And then the final thing that I have to talk about is what's coming up in the future, because I've done some content on this already, and I just want to double down and kind of hammer home how incredible I think this has the opportunity to be. And the big thing for me is not only is Phantasmal Flames going to be great, and then whatever the English version of Ninja Spinner is, and whatever the English version of Storm Emeralda is, and then you have Mega Dream EX, whatever that might be, and Abyss Eye. Like, for whatever reason, I keep thinking one of those is going to be a Giratina set. Like, we haven't had a big Giratina card here in Scarlet and Violet, so we could very much be looking at a Mega Charizard, a Mega Gengar, a Mega Greninja, a Mega Giratina, a Mega Rayquaza. Like, my poor Pokemon brain can't comprehend all that awesomeness. But then what's happening after that, like, to look even further into the future, 2026 is going to be the 30th anniversary of the Pokemon Company International, and they do huge things on the fives. The 25th anniversary celebrations fell a little bit short, but they still did it. Then you had the Generations set, which highlighted the 20-year anniversary. I guarantee you they are going to try and blow the roof off with whatever they do for the 30th anniversary. So we're going to have all of these fantastic Mega Series sets. Then we're going to roll into the 30th anniversary, and it is just absolutely going to be insane. I don't know. I'm going to have to get, I don't know, I'm going to have to get a fourth job, right? Like, I have my real job. I have Pika Pika Papa. My wife owns a vending machine business that I do, you know, not full-time, but certainly part-time with her. I'm going to have to pick up a fourth job so I can actually buy all the Pokemon stuff that I want. It's just crazy to think about. I'm incredibly excited. I'm pumped to have you along for the ride with me. I think we're going to be able to do some really cool stuff, hopefully learn some things along the way, and hopefully be able to get the product. Hopefully Pokemon Company International is going to, you know, fill that big demand that's out there. But at the end of the day, I just hope you have a great one. I appreciate you more than I can say. I'll talk to you soon, and if you made it to the end, hit that subscribe button or give us a thumbs up. I'll talk to you later, everybody. See you. Bye.